Hi, thanks for joining me. Today I want to talk about my impressions of the Destiny beta. This is something that I'm a little late to the party on, and, I probably should have captured some footage or something like that. It's hard to know with these things, what the company's policy is, because, some companies are like, you can't talk about it, you can't capture footage, and other ones just don't care, so I had no idea what Bungie's policy was on this. They miss out, I guess, just because other people, have policies about this stuff where they don't want the information getting out. I didn't do any of that. But, now that the beta is over, I'm pretty sure, it's already gone completely public, so I wanted to share my thoughts about it with you guys. You might remember that I've talked about this already, that I've been cautiously optimistic about it, and it's one of the things I took notice when Bungie was kind of jumping, first-party publishers, sort of going from Xbox's ecosystem over to Sony's, and just sort of being more cross-platform. But they're definitely, we can have a Bungie game, maybe even a Halo-like experience on a PlayStation platform, and I think that's really cool. So that caught my attention just to start with, but honestly, I'm not a big competitive multiplayer gamer, and especially not online. That just doesn't do it for me. I don't want to play competitively against the world, because what that does is it really raises the stakes in terms of the kind of the anonymity and the facelessness of the people that you're competing against, and just the caliber too. It's much different when you're competing against your friends on your couch. You kind of know the competition. You're all friends already. You're all probably at similar skill levels, and even if you're not, that's kind of it's just more fun. Competitive multiplayer is just not where it is for me, and so my fear was that this was going to be a really competitive multiplayer focused game, and that I might not like it at all. Now my hope, contrary to that, was that it would be kind of like Phantasy Star Online. I've been waiting for something to channel the spirit of that game, the original one, because it was so much fun, and it was so simple. It was science fiction. It was action oriented. It was co-op. It wasn't competitive. The only things you were competing over was loot, and it was so social, and it was so much fun to just you just dive into a dungeon instance. You could go in by yourself and just start it off. You could go in by yourself and leave it open for other random people to jump in. You could get a small group of your friends. It was only ever 4 people going through the dungeons, and just go through and play it. And it had so many fun aspects to it that weren't based on EverQuest. Most of those major MMORPGs, World of Warcraft, the Final Fantasy MMOs, and the whole bunch of imitators, around those, they're all based on that paradigm of you have a tank, you have a healer, you have damage dealer, and that's fine. Nothing against that. That can be totally fun. But I've been wanting something different. Something that really gets back to that simple joy of Phantasy Star. And I can say, having played the alpha, having played the beta, that Destiny is the game, kind of the first game since that to bring that level of fun and enjoyment and joy to me. Since that game, it's I filmed this once already, and honestly, I gushed too much about this game, and I just didn't really like how it came off. But I really enjoyed the time that I've spent with this game so far. I want to try my best to explain to you guys why exactly I am enjoying and loving this game so much. The main thing, I guess, is that this it supports different play styles. And I guess to explain that further, it is a first-person shooter. So that is the play style. But I'm really not a stranger to first-person shooters, and there's nothing about them that I don't like, and I've played a lot of them. I mean, the main thing I don't like is competitive multiplayer. So Destiny is not that game. I mean, I think it is that game. Like, you can play that game in Destiny if you want. But what I found so enjoyable is you have story, which I'll get to in a little bit. But basically, there are these missions. So you're going through these story missions. They're single player that you can have. Up to 2 other people join you and go through your mission with you. You play some of it in a portion of the board that is, where you're playing alongside other people that are also playing that same mission. So there's some sharing of mobs and stuff like that in that area, but then you're going to get into a point where that turns instanced, and then you're in an instance. So if you're on a team by yourself and you been going through that, maybe larger area that has a whole bunch of other people roaming around, and, you're having fun, but you get to this instance, it's just you, and that's it. And you can just go through that instance by yourself. If you're with a couple other people, your friends, all those other people are going to go away. It's just going to be you and your friends going through that instance. So that's really cool, by itself right there. Then you have, some of the missions are like kind of open. They're sort of made to be just exploration, and I'll probably come back to this, but those are some of the most fun that I have. And then you have these strikes. And so the strikes are things where you have to have a party, but you don't have to make it. They have matchmaking. You go in, it's going to dump a couple other people into your party if you're not already partied up with someone, and then you guys are going to go through. And again, the cool thing about that is it's co-op. So you were just running through, fighting like player versus environment, player versus AI. With this match-made group of other people, and I have to tell you, all of those missions, the story missions, the kind of open exploration missions, and the strikes were awesome. So much fun. I just really enjoyed them, and that none of that is competitive multiplayer. There's a whole other competitive multiplayer mode. It's called Crucible. I actually did jump into that and played 2 games of it, only because I was with some other friends that wanted to just try it out and see what it was like, and it was exactly what I was expecting. Just not, I was like on the bottom of the leaderboards for every round that we did. I don't play those kind of games. It's a different, it's a different sort of play style, it's a different skill set, and that's what I'll talk about next. So, one of my friends that plays these online multiplayer games competitively a lot, he jumped in and we went through one of those story missions together. It was totally fun. I haven't gotten a chance to online game with him in a really long time, so just the social aspect of that is cool. But he was playing with some of his other buddies that he plays competitive online games with. So it was me and him and one of his other friends. And it was so interesting, the discrepancy between how we play the game. And I had been playing a lot of the beta up to this point. It made me realize that my particular play style for this game is to hop into the mission and just kind of what I call having fun, I like to just sort of explore, just relax, take my time. I'll go around, I'll collect some of the spin metal leaves that you can find lying around, I'll look for treasure chests, I'll gun down some guys. There are weapons that focus on, aiming, taking your time, getting headshots, not necessarily sniper rifles necessarily, but it was funny. I really like the pulse rifles, which are basically like 3-round bursts, and then fusion rifles, which have a charge time, and then they shoot off a bunch of shots all at once, and they're usually kind of like energy or elemental in some way. They might be like fire or ice or something like that. And those are my favorite weapons. I love those as sort of a loadout. And so I get into this game with my friend and his friend, and they played this. It couldn't have been any more differently from the way I play. For one thing, my friend was like, "Hey, you know what my least favorite weapons are in this game?" He's like, the fusion rifles and the pulse rifles. He's like, those suck. I hate those. And I was like, really? Those are my favorite ones. And, you know, it was just funny. And so like we get in there, the two of them were just like boom. Like I spent most of the time. I'm not, and this is not critical of them, but it was just so different, running after them. So they basically just ran. It was like point to point, getting to their goals as fast as they could. They were killing enemies as fast as they could. It was all like speed, quick, goal-oriented play. And, you know, it got me to think a little bit about what they were doing with the game. And, you know, I think the best illustration of it was one of my other friends was talking to this friend, and he was like, you know, just asking him, like, how he liked the game and stuff, and he was like, yeah, like, well, you know, I've gotten, you know, 3 of my characters up to level whatever, like 10 or something like that, like, because there's 3 different character classes you can do, so he'd gotten all those classes up to that level, like, within the first day or two, you know, and my friend was just like, to my other friend, like, you have a job, right? You know, like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And it's because that's a style of play. It's optimization. It's this optimized play. And I realize that's one of the things I really dislike about a lot of these MMOs is people, especially I think people that thrive on this kind of play and enjoy it. You know, they go in and they play it as optimally as they can. It's super efficient. They're just doing what they need to like level and advance and up their stats, do whatever sort of like the, I don't know, the core winning strategy kind of thing is as quickly as possible. And they just eat through like a game's whole progression system within like 24 hours or something. It's crazy. I don't even know why people enjoy doing that. It kind of literally doesn't make sense to me. But I don't want to invalidate that as a play style. That seems to be a popular thing, and you know, that's just something that people, you know, can do in this. And now knowing that my friend plays this game a little bit more like that, you know, I hopped into a game with him again, you know, later on, and I knew how that was going to go, so I was able to kind of like play along with his style a little bit better. You know, I was used to like using the dash button all the time, you know, hopping on my little speeder bike thing to get place to place all the time, and that was fine. But what I love about the game, and I'm gushing about this absolutely as much as I did in the last video, is that I can play it the way that I want to, and my playstyle is not invalid. The optimizers are not dictating how other people play this game, and that I think is a big difference from other MMO RPG style games. So I love that I can hop in this game, and you know, another thing that made me feel like my style of play was really validated in this is, you know, I would just find like a random spot, you know, and like I'd just be like jump up on top of some box and be like, well, where can I get to from here, you know? And like I wonder if I can get over to that ledge. Not even really thinking that there would be any useful point to that, but just be wondering if I can. So, you know, I would kind of jump a couple times, you know, get up there, sort of run around, and then there's a treasure chest around the corner on that ledge that you would have had, you know, probably the only way you could get up to it was jumping on that box and getting it to that, over to there. And I'm like blew my mind. I'm just like, seriously? They, you know, and I wouldn't say it's not overdone, but part of the joy for me in playing Destiny so far has like been exploring the maps, and that is completely rewarded. You know, and I don't even think it's rewarded in a way. I think it's rewarded in a way that like the people that just like playing the game in that way are are just going to be able to enjoy, you know. And in the optimizers, I don't think it's going to be worth the optimizers' time to like go after all that stuff, because then they stop being optimizers and they start being explorers, and I don't think that that's how they want to play. I really think somehow they nailed that. So I had so much fun with this game. I got to play with, you know, this one friend. It's my friend N. I had to play with another friend M. I got to play with Andy, who's he said I can share his name online, so I do. Yeah, you know, some of these friends that I haven't like actually really gotten to game online with together. Again, this is one of the first games that it seems like it's so easy for us to just play together and have fun. You know, the way that Andy and I played versus the way like N and I played was completely different, you know. And with my friend M, you know, I hopped in and played with like one of his friends from work. It was fun. Like, I just got to kind of have a conversation with like a new person that, you know, sort of a mutual friend that I hadn't met before, and it worked, you know. Like, this game is great, and I cannot wait for it to come out in September here coming up. Honestly, you know, and I'm not like addicted to it where I just, you know, I can't. Then when the beta ended, I was like, okay, the beta's done, no big deal. But a couple days ago, I was sitting around, sort of popping on my PlayStation 4, watch some DVDs, and I was just like, you know, kind of wish Destiny was out, you know. It's that kind of game. It's really cool. I already talked a little bit about the weapon types, but I really like them. They're really varied, and I think that they're made, you know, again, to just accommodate different styles of play. A really cool thing is they have these hand cannons. They remind me a lot of the magnums in Resident Evil. That's another thing. It's really nice to like be able to play this first-person shooter game and have it not, you know, it doesn't feel completely twitchy. You know, I think the Twitch players can play it kind of twitchy. There are twitchier weapons, and when I think about it, you know, some of the, you know, compared to how my other friend was playing, I started wondering. I'm like, you know, am I playing this wrong? You know, should I be able to kill the enemies more quickly? Should that be my goal, to kill the enemies as quickly as I can? Because you know, when I was playing with my friend and his friend, they were taking down enemies fast, and I didn't have all that many kills in comparison to them by the end. And I'm like, am I playing this wrong? But then I realized, no, you know what? I'm having fun. And when I go through the levels by myself, or when I go through the levels like with my friend Andy, you know, we're killing all the enemies. You know, I'm completing all the levels, and sometimes I can be really efficient, you know. It's just I can get a group of enemies and just be like bang, 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 you know, take them all out in a relatively short amount of time. It can be really efficient, but I'm not focused on the speed, and you know, and it's okay. Like I've come completely to terms with that. That is okay in this game. I love that. So yeah, the weapon types are really cool. A little bit more about that, I guess, later. But you have like a primary weapon, a secondary weapon, and then a heavy weapon. So the heavy weapons are stuff like rocket launchers, heavy machine guns. You've got secondary weapons are sort of shotguns and sort of big damage dealing stuff. And they take different kinds of ammo, so you just find them as drops from the enemies. There's just really interesting stuff. You definitely have you know, sort of uncommon and rare drops that you can get, and I just found that whole like collecting loot thing to work really well. Between the alpha and the beta, they definitely made it slower in terms of the rate. I mean, in the alpha you could get all kinds of cool stuff, because they just sort of wanted to, you know, probably test some of that stuff out and sort of show you what was possible. In the beta, the progression slowed a little bit, but it wasn't bad. In fact, I think it was a good, like a good pace for the progression. And I don't know, the moment that I think illustrates this the best was when I was playing with my friend M, and I could just tell, like, at one point when he really started to have fun, he got a new auto rifle, which are sort of like the machine guns, like regular automatic rifles, and he was like, oh, this is cool. This rifle's really good. You know, the power was a lot higher than the previous one he had, and you know, they got that right too. Just the getting gear, you can get uncommon gear that and when you level up, when you get experience, you'll level up the weapons too. Like if they have an ability that they can do, like some of them will let you hold more ammo for, like, you know, that type of weapon, or you know, they'll just have some sort of little perk to it. And after you use that weapon, it'll unlock on that weapon, and then you level it up. You know, the weapons are only gonna be good for a certain amount of time until you find new stuff that's better, and, you know, you go ahead and upgrade that. You can find these, I think they're called engrams, which is kind of that classic, you know, an unidentified item. You have to go and you have to get it identified. So, so there's a guy, the Cryptarch or something like that, that identifies them in the tower. And that's another thing I'll get to, is the lore in this is completely bonkers. But it works so well. I mean, just the system, like the whole gear system, leveling system, feeling of the weapons, like your weapon loadouts that you make, they're just great, and it works really well with the classes too. The classes may be a little similar to each other. You know, I think the differences are kind of subtle, but I'm actually really curious to look at the whole sort of skill progression trees, like later on, to kind of see, you know, what class I think I'll really enjoy playing. But you know, I love the fact that, for instance, one of my friends has a PlayStation 3 and they haven't gotten a PS4 yet. The rest of my friends all have PS4s. So I'm definitely getting this on PS4. My friend playing on PS3, I was able to download the beta client for PS3, you know, load that up, and it was cross-like character. You know, your save is on the server, so I could play the same characters I was playing on the PlayStation 4 version on the PS3 version. Bungie has probably made 2 sales on that for me, just by having that functionality in it. So I really like so much about this. You know, certain of your gear and ships and things that you buy are going to also be, like, shared between your characters. So I'm sure they're going to have the ability for you to have more than one character, and you're going to be able to pool some of those resources. Glimmer, which is the currency in the game. Yeah, you know, it just, I had so much fun with this. There are some cons to Destiny. You know, nothing is perfect. This was just a beta, and but I'm not going to chalk this stuff up to it just being a beta. I have a feeling that some of this stuff is going to persist right into the commercial release of the game here coming up. The story and the writing, you guys have probably, you know, heard the famous "The Wizard is from the Moon" line. You know, there are some issues with it. I really think the main problem is that they seem to have developed this lore and this kind of sort of base story, and they'll deliver these lines where they're like, you know, the blah 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 is blah blah in the blah blah blah, and like those blah blahs were all like, they were all sort of lore specific terms that you don't have anything to identify with. So like they'll come out with something, like, we're going to the thing to get the stuff that the dudes left, but, like, you don't know what any of those words that they just used mean, and so, like, the whole thing just goes completely over your head. It was kind of amazing. By the 3rd time I was playing through the prologue, when I was, you know, trying it out with the last class that I hadn't tried yet, which is Warlock, all of a sudden, some of the lore actually, like, clicked into place with me, and I'm like, oh, I think I know, like, what we're doing in this mission now, you know? Like, that's how confusing it is. You literally have no friggin' idea what they're talking about. I think it's just really poorly written. It's kind of like Square Enix's localizations of the recent Final Fantasies level of, just, like, naming things in ways that just aren't obvious and are really confusing. So, I think that might just be something that we have to kind of deal with. Once I got my head around a little bit of what the lore is, I mean, it's maybe not that, bad. Seriously, it's pretty ridiculous, but some of it started to make sense. The levels too, I think, considering like the way that they hid stuff in some of the levels, it seems like there is some thought that was put into them, but they feel a little weird. I think that the levels are sort of great, and the impression that I get from them, again, it's this exploration thing, as I love, is that like you can go through a place that you think you're kind of familiar with, but then you can be like, well, what's off in this corner? And you go into that corner, and there's a pathway to this whole other area, and you hadn't been to before, and you're just like, oh my god, this is amazing. I get the feeling that the way they're going to build this out is they're just going to keep tacking stuff onto it. And for somebody that kind of likes to explore in these games, I think it's going to be fun as all get out, because I just love, like, what's going to be down this corridor, And, I was rewarded with so much fun, stuff for just sort of exploring around in this game. I'm hoping that the retail version of this, or the expansions they do or whatever, are really content rich, because the beta, it was really fun. So anyway, the levels though, there are some bad things about them. My biggest criticism is that they are sort of full of space junk. This is a design technique that I don't really like, and it stands in stark contrast to something like the first Halo, where you had like all the Covenant stations and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff was really symmetrical and geometric, but it felt fully realized. This world does not feel fully realized. It feels kind of thrown together. I'll go down a corridor or something where I'm like, this is like, it's crates and it's like boxes and barrels and, derelict robots that are like enemies that we're fighting, in the game. Some of it is lazy, but I think it's lazy because, making all these assets and delivering like big levels and new content and stuff, it's hard. Like, I get it, it's hard work and it takes a lot of people to do this. It's kind of a minor criticism, but it wasn't just me. My friends too were sort of like, the world isn't very consistent in this. I'm down with that a little bit too. You're using like weapons with, that are sort of space age, lasery, you're flying through space. It's very Star Wars-ish, and then you're using weapons that are sort of obviously just sort of, pushing lead in that direction, It's like, really, still, like, that's a viable thing? It's like a gun blade or something. That doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. So there's some inconsistencies about the world that I think, you notice. It might distract you and take away from the game a little bit. That said, though, I really love the look of the characters. It feels so much like Star Wars, and I think Star Wars is such a rich universe that has inspired like Mass Effect. You definitely get a bit of a Mass Effect feeling in Destiny. You get a bit of a Borderlands feeling, I think, although I'm not that familiar with Borderlands. You definitely get a bit of a Halo feeling in in Destiny, and I. Just loving it. Absolutely loving it. All I'm looking for from this game is like a couple months of really enjoying it, getting to play with my friends, and getting to explore all these boards, and getting to experience the leveling system, and using the different weapons, and just doing all that stuff that I was doing in the beta. This game feels to me like Skyrim. Probably the Elder Scrolls games are the games, or maybe like the Fallout games. I don't want to set the expectations, because this isn't sort of like a big open world RPG like that. That's not what it is. But for me, the same feeling that I get when I plonk myself into one of those open world RPGs and I get to sort of, I'm going to explore around, and I'm going to find cool stuff, and I'm going to fight cool enemies, and that's the feeling that I get in Destiny. And it's like co-op multiplayer with your friends, or in these, what do they call it, strikes. This is just a game that I've been waiting to come out for a really long time. I've really been wanting to play something like this. Yeah. So anyway, that was really long. I think this was longer than the last video I shot, but I'm gonna put it up because these are my honest opinions about this game, and I couldn't be more excited for this. If you haven't checked it out, if you've been on the fence about it, I guess depending on if you like what you heard, check it out. Find some way. The beta is over already, but like watch it on streamed, or check out videos of it on YouTube. Check out what other people are saying about it. This is going to be one of those games that everyone can play. Like everyone, like this. When they say you can't please all the people all the time, I mean, I guess you can't. There are going to be people that complain about this game, but this is one of those games that can just be a gajillion seller. It's going to be like that. This is going to be really popular. So anyway, that is my impressions of Destiny beta. Can't wait for that to come out here in just like a month or so. So anyway, maybe I'll see you on PSN. Thanks for watching.